sunshine, please don't go away now. Heaven, do you have a place now? Loved ones, go enjoy the rays now. I can't go there yet. All I have is paper angels, matches. I could start a fire. Ooh, try to see it from my angle. Now you know my eyes are dry, 'cause it's been so long since I fell in love.
Welcome to the Sparkle Show. With us, we have Michelle Murray. How are you, Michelle?
Great. How are you? I'm so happy to be here. Excited to be on the Sparkle Show.
I'm happy you're here because I've seen what you've been doing for the past. I think when you were introduced to me, I was introduced to you, and I've seen what you've been doing for the past year, and you wear many hats. Explain those hats you wear.
Wow. Okay. So, well, I'm the CEO. I'm the Chief of Operations for KMP Entertainment, which is we're labeled a boutique production company. My son and I run that business together, but we're so much more than that. Within our organization, we also have professional development. So I teach educational courses for entertainment professionals.
Oh yeah, I saw that. You do a lot for writers too.
Because I'm a screenwriter, so that's one of my other hats. So, but we have education for whether you're into music, you're a writer, an actor, a model. We've got professional development education. And we have an agency within our organization where we do represent talent, help them find, work so they can pay their bills and make a living. And we also, under that umbrella, something I'm really excited about is our Entertainment Business Council, because what that is a resource that creatives usually don't have access to.
That's true.
A lot of times you might have ideas, but you don't know, okay, how do I find a location? How do I get a permit?
That's one of the biggest questions I hear all the time.
Especially where do I get money from? So my son and I, and of course it started small because it's out of pocket right now, the part that I'm about to share, but we've started an endowment fund for creatives, and so it's actually going to launch in September. It was supposed to launch a little earlier, but COVID-19 threw us a monkey wrench, so we're going to launch it on September 1st, where creatives can come apply for grant money with us, to do a project, to attend a course, whatever. So I'm pretty excited about that, and there's a lot of networking that goes on with our Entertainment Business Council, so I'm very excited about that.
So you're like a one-stop shop. If I have an idea for a movie, I have no idea, I haven't written it yet, don't know any directors, I could come to you at the beginning of an idea.
Absolutely, and we'll take you from concept all the way through distribution even. And that's something I do teach courses on film financing and distribution. We've got some entertainment attorneys we work with. We have a lot of professionals who have agreed to be mentors, and I love that.
How did you meet everybody? I mean, I know you have a great personality, but you really do have a great network. How did that happen?
Yeah. Oh my God, by the grace of God. But so my son started acting when he was little, 5, 6 years old. He was signed on Nickelodeon for 5 seasons. He was on NBC's Parenthood. And so at the time I was active duty military, but as he grew and he needed a publicist and his agency grew and those things, I was in a position to be able to ask questions. So once I retired from the military and began my own writing career, I had somebody to go talk to. And then, they were more than willing to help, because many of them, they liked my kid, and that's really the reality of that. The first thing I did after I got my master's degree in screenwriting, I did a project, and interestingly, I got some of the Star Trek Renegades team on board, one of their producers, one of their camera people, who I could have never afforded to pay their regular wage, but they believed in my idea, and so they helped out. And so that further opened the doors for me. And after that, I got to meet somebody over at HBO. It opened a lot of doors.
Okay, you retired from the military and then you jumped in to get a master's in screenwriting. Can you take us through that?
I did.
I'm overwhelmed. How did it happen? It just boom, you retired, and then what was your degree in?
It really did. So, that's actually, even though it may not seem like it, my story is really an everybody's story that probably resonates with a lot of creatives. Okay, like from the time I was little, I enjoyed acting, I enjoyed theater, I like to write. But my parents said, no, you can't earn a living at that. I don't support it. So I went in the military, and I didn't hate the military, but the whole time I was in the military, all I wanted to do was be creative. And literally, the day after I left the military, I was in school to get a second bachelor's in entertainment business.
And what was your first bachelor's in?
Sociolinguistics, language. Yeah, the study of language. And I got that one in entertainment business because my son was acting, and I wanted to be able to understand what was going on around me. Because, by that time, he had a team of people. But like I always tell him, you can't supervise something you don't understand. So I wanted to make sure I understood things like intellectual property, contract law, all these things, really just to help my son. And initially, I was just helping a lot of his friends, a lot of our friends and family that wanted to work in this business, because I knew how things went but at that point. And it got to a place I was helping so many people. That's when I went and got licensed in California and said, okay, you know what? I need to be legal. I need to, if I'm going to be your agent, even if it's just for pretend, I need to be legal. And eventually that morphed into something that helped me pay my bills while I went back to school to get my master's degree in screenwriting. And again, because of my son, I was able to to get some work right away. Now, listen, I'm not a staff writer. I haven't yet been able to be permanent because I've only been doing that part for maybe the last 4 years. But I've had some really cool experiences. He was working a Nickelodeon show, and it just happened. One of the producers says, well, gosh, we're missing a writer today. I wish we had a writer. And somebody said, Kendall's mom's a writer. You should talk to her. And I remember he came over to me, and I was so nervous. And he comes with this stack of papers. And he says, are you a writer? And I said, yes. And he said, what have you written? So I pulled up, because I have my laptop, some things. He read it. He says, here, I need you to sign this so we can do your background right now. And as long as you pass your police check, I need you to get over there and do this and do this and do this. And so that was like my first thing. And I really I had so much fun with that. And because I did that, I got to work on, now I'm telling my age, so I got to work on Crazy Ones with Robin Williams. And I only got to do one episode, but that was so much fun. And because I was nice to the production assistants, quite frankly, they threw my name in the hat to go do an episode of The Mentalist. So that's how I got that. And, and it pays to be nice to people. And because I was nice and cordial and could work well with those people on The Mentalist, I actually got the only major film. I've done lots of small things, but I got to work on Bright, which is a Netflix production with Will Smith. And I only got to do 2 scenes, but it was so exciting to be a part of that. It was super exciting. And, and just, it's all about helping each other. One of the people I'll tell you that I've learned a lot from, that has encouraged me to just really go do my thing, no matter how nonsensical it seems to other people, is David Heavner. And David Heavner was really heavily involved back with the original founding, back with HBO and some of the other really big production houses. But he left because he said, you know what? All of this that I'm doing and giving away to other people, I can do for myself. And I had a long talk with him, and I was telling him he wanted to know what my goals were. And I said, well, I'm floating over at CBS. I'd like to be permanent. And he said, but why? And I was like, what do you mean, why? That's crazy. Why not? It's CBS. And he says, no, you have so much to offer the world and yourself. What you want to give away to other people, go do it for yourself. And I really had to think, it stopped me in my tracks. And he said, you know what? I'll support you. I'll help you. Tell me what you need. And I was blessed, because after that, I got some pretty, really honestly, some big names that were like, hey, David told me you need help. What do you need? We're going to help you. And so what it did, it put me in a position where I can pay my bills by being creative, and I'm excited to do that, but I'm really excited to help other people. Honest to God, I'm everybody's cheerleader, and I have had some of the most extraordinary experiences doing what I love. So our Entertainment Business Council, my son and I want to give that to other people. When I first started, one bit of advice I had was join the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. I had joined the Chamber of Commerce in my hometown in Texas. And it's funny now, but I remember the day I joined, I said, oh my God, this is my light bill money. This is my water bill money. Lord, what if this doesn't play out? But I joined. And literally, it took all my bill money, and I said, this sure better pay off. And that same afternoon, I was at an event where they seated me with a VP from Warner Brothers, the president of Universal, and some other big names. And so they chatted me up. They wanted to know, well, who are you? What do you do? And I hadn't done anything. This was like day one in business, and all I got is a brand new diploma in my hand, right? Hadn't done anything. And so I told them what I could do, and I said it with confidence. And guess what? Somebody reached across the table. They said, here's my business card. The Billboard Music Awards coming up in 3 weeks. You think you could put together a team and do some things that we need? Absolutely. I was so panicked on the inside, but let me tell you, we made it happen. I put together 10 of my most creative friends, and we packed our little cars, and we drove from our house to it was in Vegas, and we made it happen. And we put CeeLo Green. They had designs for the Beastie Boys dancers. I brought 4 girls to dance back up for CeeLo Green. We coordinated some stuff, and we ran a mosh pit. And the funniest part was I didn't know what a mosh pit was. I had to ask my son. I said, hey, do you want me to do this thing with a mosh pit? What the heck is that? So my kid explained it. So I did the mosh pit with Katy Perry, and it was so much fun. But because I just stepped out in faith and I believed in my abilities, and I did that, and they liked my work. So then I got some other things after that. I've done the Billboard Music Awards a few years. We've done the Emmys.
So what do you do with it? When you say you've done it, what are you coordinating exactly?
Yeah, so, well, what it is, they award shows like that, first and foremost, they're cast. People can't buy tickets to those kinds of shows, and people don't know that. So when I wear my hat as the talent agency, they'll send me what looks they're looking for, and we'll cast typically anywhere from 10 to 20 people that we'll bring for that. Or sometimes, it may very well be coordination, making sure people are on point where they're supposed to be. Like this past year for the Emmys, I did some casting, but it's not just me. It's not just one person. It could be anywhere from 30 to 300 people like me that make an event like that happen. But it's a lot of fun. It's a whole lot of fun. Yeah, it's a ton of fun. So that's just kind of how that happened. It just I fell into it, but I do have to, be honest and say it really took off because my son was already acting and had a team. So I had somebody's ear.
But still, you're still a nobody. You're still a girl from Texas in the military.
Yeah.
That's still super impressive.
Right? It's true.
So how did your son get into this in the first place?
Well, my son, even as a baby, we had him modeling and doing different stuff, and he's like super creative. He's always been creative. And I had agencies approaching me because he had an agent where I was stationed in Texas. And so she would pitch him for things, and agencies out of LA would approach him. But I just couldn't because I was active duty. So when it got time for me to retire, I reached back out to some of those same agencies, and I said, hey, if you're still interested, we'd love to work with you. And Colleen Clare, God bless the Colleen Clare agency. I love him. That was my son's first agent. That's who got him 5 seasons on NBC's Parenthood. And then they also booked him, I don't know if you know Nickelodeon Sam and Cat. He was on there. Yeah, he was on Sam and Cat, and he's also Ricky, Nikki, Dickie, and Don is where a lot of people know him. He's done some stuff for NCIS LA and the Goldbergs, but people really remember him more from Parenthood and those Nickelodeon shows. He's got
what did you think when this happened? You didn't know anything about the business, and then he gets an agent. So is that why you started educating yourself?
Let me tell you what I did know is I didn't have parents who supported my creative side, and I spent 25 of my adult years doing something besides what I loved. So what I knew was that if I had a child who was creative, or I don't care what he wanted to do, I was going to support it, period, because I know what that feels like. So that was what he wanted to do. And when you asked him at 3, he wanted to be an actor. When you asked him at 10, he wanted to be an actor. Yeah, he's 19, and if you ask him, he still wants to be, well, he is. He's an actor. So his mind has never changed, and that's what made me serious about it, because my son was serious. And one thing I've always taught my son is, if you're going to do something, you do it well. You do it to the best of your ability. So I've definitely financed him a lot. I've sold a lot of tamales, a lot of handmade jewelry, a lot of cupcakes to support him. He's auditioning again for Yale and Juilliard this year. We'll be selling tamales and cakes to make sure, and I'm joking on some levels, but yeah, I think
you're underselling what you did.
Yeah. And we just make it happen. Like right now, honestly, my son had an opportunity to train with some folks from Broadway. And when he came, they showed me the price tag. I literally almost had a stroke. So I asked him again, and this was just a few months ago. I said, "You're serious? This is absolutely what you want to do?" And at this point, he's got a master's degree too, and he said yes. And so I said,
he's
okay.
19.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
what does he have a master's in?
Media design, and he has an undergrad degree in entertainment business.
I can't.
You know what? For my son, though, I'll be honest, he was just blessed. When he was on Nickelodeon, what Nickelodeon does, they do something called banking hours, and a lot of the child actors do this. So the kids will go to school, if they're going to be a series regular, 7 days a week for like 4 months straight. No break, no breaks, no holidays, nothing, so that they can film uninterrupted. Well, so my son in the 8th grade, he did that for Nickelodeon, filmed a little bit, something happened, and then they said, okay, banking hours again. So by the time they got ready to film, he was already at 10th grade level. Then he filmed for a year, got really kind of a grade ahead, but what happened was the show canceled, but he was already ahead of schedule, so I wasn't going to tell him, oh no, I got to hold you back because you're too far ahead. So that helped him. And then, and I homeschooled him, of course, so he graduated high school just shy of his 16th birthday. He did his undergrad in 2.5 years, and then he did his master's degree in a year. But I tell him, if you're going to do it well, because he does want to go to Juilliard. He does want to.
So he's going to do this expensive Broadway thing that you were talking about with the heavy price tag?
He's already in it.
Wow.
So you're going to see me. Look, people that are my Facebook friends, I'm doing my business. I'm selling Mary Kay. I'm selling Pampered Chef. So.
Well, I'll tell my mom she likes Mary Kay, so yeah. I'm going to tell her.
But I know what it's like to be creative, and that's why we started the entertainment business, because, again, I know what it's like when someone doesn't support you as a creative. So we have established this entity where, okay, that's fine. We're going to support you. You come on. We're going to help you. We're going to give you ideas. We're going to clap for you. We're going to get you to the finish line, because that's very important. This is a very competitive business. It's a lot of long hours. And I go back to, it's very competitive. It's a multi-trillion-dollar a year business. So you can't afford to not be on your A game. You
right.
can't afford to not train like the professionals. And that's where a lot of creatives, they make a fatal error to a certain extent. They buy into the hype that they can't make a living at it. And they don't pay for the classes. They don't
right.
go get the training or the degrees. You don't have to necessarily have a degree, but they don't do the things that cost money. So when it's time to throw their resume in front of somebody, they don't pay attention. Because, listen, I'm going to tell you, my son's agent started drilling into his head when he was around the 6th grade. When you graduate high school, you have to go to college. This is like any other business. And if you don't have a skill set and you don't have a degree, people aren't going to hire you. And that's what creatives have to remember, that this is a business. Even though, yeah, it probably is our hobby, it's our life, it's still a business. So you have to be competitive on a business level. You have to understand how the business works. And that's what our Entertainment Business Council is all about. Like, we teach all of that. And I have some stuff is for free, some stuff I charge for. But you have to understand that if you really want to be competitive on a financial level. But, I mean, if it's just your hobby, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you truly want to pay the mortgage and, you know, buy the cars, buy the clothes from what you earned in entertainment, then you have to treat it like, just like if you woke up and said you wanted to be a doctor. You know, I tell people you wouldn't just literally wake up and then waltz into an operating room and say, well, I feel like I'm a surgeon today. I love it. No, you're going to have a career map. You're going to go to school. You're going to do professional development training. You're going to surround yourself with other people in the field. You know, you're going to stay current. But that's what we as creatives often fail to do. So I'm trying my best to just build up a great community that can facilitate professional growth in everybody. And again, it's okay to be a hobbyist, but if you want to pay your bills, well, that's what we're in business to do, is help teach you and, you know, guide you in that direction. And, you know, and I'll be honest, my kid's only 19, but I'm very proud of him for the things that he does to coach and mentor other folks in that direction. He gives, you know, a lot of his time as far as helping other people out, and I think that's very important.
That's got to be super valuable. You have a young guy that's in his working in his prime that can give you what happened last week, instead of like, oh, when I was a kid. It's like, no, this is what happened to me last year. This is how it is right now. It's relevant.
And that's so important, because, as you know, what's relevant today in Hollywood could not be relevant 2 weeks from now. Yeah. You know, things change so rapidly.
And what's relevant now wasn't maybe relevant 5 years ago. So
it's true. Absolutely true. So that's one of the things. Okay, so we focus on like hometown folks trying to make it in a major market. Typically in a minor market, that's the key piece that you're missing. You don't know what's relevant because you don't have access to anybody who's working in that market every day. So with our Entertainment Business Council, which is completely free, I got a Facebook group, people can join it. You have access. You can bend my ear, and we got people from William Morris Endeavor in that group. We got, you know, big talent agents, big producers, actors. Some of them stay quiet until spoken to, but lots of people, you know, experience you can share, and that's important. We can't be intimidated or where we want to be. Those are the people that we have to seek out. If you want to be under, you need to find her email. You need to find her people. You need to write her. You need to call her and ask her, how can I like you? I want your job. And guess what? I know for a fact Shonda Rhimes will respond, because guess who did that? I've done that. And she's very responsive. And those are the type things, not in some ugly fangirl stalkerish way. I mean, you need to be professional. Right. You know, I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying. But you can't be starstruck, so to speak. If you know, if you want that to be your peer, well, you have to reach out to them, and you have to put yourself in the situation to meet those people. You know, yes, a ticket to a particular event, maybe it is $200, but if that's how you can exchange cards with them. You know, like last summer, I took everybody on my talent roster. There's a big conference that Warner Brothers usually holds every year for professional development. And I typically take anybody that works for me, anybody on my talent roster, because I think it's that important that you meet executives.
That's great.
And, you know, it's so cool because, you know, many of my guys, for example, they got to give Tyra Banks their card. They got to sit and have a conversation with Niecy Nash and with Elizabeth Banks and some other people that if they had not placed themselves at that $200 event, they wouldn't have had that in. And, you know, one of my guys, she says, hey, you know what, talk to me. Send me, what are you working on? Elizabeth Banks, that was a couldn't even make, and one of my guys did. So it's very important to not be intimidated and place yourself where you want to be. That's what you have to do. And do your homework.
You represent talent as well.
I do.
And it's because you have the comedian Jerry, who we've had on the show.
Yes.
He was
And Jerry's
really
from my
fun.
hometown. Jerry's from my hometown, and I've known Jerry for many years, and I've seen him grow in so many ways. And so it's an honor to represent Jerry because, again, I've really seen him grow. But we do represent talent, actors, models, and we recently launched a literary side where we writers.
I've seen that. That's great.
Mhm.
That's really
Yeah,
cool.
we just had a big show, and it's funny because we had a lot of people sign up. I put out a code and I said, you know what, just sign up for free. You don't even have to pay. And we had hundreds of people sign up. But when it came down to actually present, do you know only 3 people presented? And I called people, I emailed them, and without fail, with the exception of many people, they all told me, but I'm scared. I'm afraid. I don't know if my work is good enough. And I told them all what I'm about to say right now. You have to believe in yourself before anybody else can or will. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody can, and definitely nobody will. And so that is something we'll do, that writer showcase twice a year. And I do the same with actors. I put on a big showcase for actors as well. And when we do the showcase, we have Hollywood folks watching them. We have producers, we have directors.
Yeah, you have a network of a lot of people, I'm sure.
And you know, so I get probably more sad than I should that people don't believe in themselves. But really, that's my message for the world. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. You know, because it's even like, if you think about it, if somebody's trying to sell you cookware, if they don't believe in the product, are you going to buy it? Yeah, a tube of lipstick. If somebody's trying to sell you lipstick, but she's like, oh, but well, I don't know if I would wear that, are you going to buy it? No. So it's the same with our talent. If we don't think our acting is good enough to apply, it's good enough to pitch it, you know, well, nobody else is. So to believe in ourselves. A lot of times interest is generated because we believe in ourselves, because we had that courage. It does take courage to step out there, but you got to do that. If this is what anybody watching the show, if this is what you want to do, you want to have a creative career, don't let the naysayers get in your head. Don't let them tell you.
And there's going to be a lot coming at you.
A lot of them. Because here's the thing. We know you can do it because you watch TV, right? You watch film. You see people, so it's possible. Now, will you be one of those 1% people? Because only less than 1% of entertainers make millions of dollars, okay? The average entertainer, whether we're talking about a singer or an actor, we have to be realistic. They do well for themselves, okay? The average entertainer makes a little more than a teacher. Somebody that's working consistently. And guess what? You can pay your bills on that. You can pay your bills. And then if you kick it up a notch, you'll make even more. So, you know, don't let people deter you. If you wouldn't let people deter you from being a teacher, you know, or a fireman,
exactly,
or any of those things, why do we allow them to get in our heads and deter us from being creative? At the end of the day, people give a lot of money to kereatives. They do. They give a lot of money to don't know. So my advice is keep entertaining, keep performing, keep doing what you like. And at some point, they're going to take notice of you, and they're going to give you their money too. And you have to think like that. You have to think yourself. You just do. And again, I do also do entertainment business coaching is something I do, and I help people figure out a career path. You know, if they tell me like this, my ultimate goal is this. Okay, so how are we going to get there from point A to point B?
Right.
Because again, especially if you don't have a degree in it, the roadmap there can be very fuzzy. The glitz and the glamour in the way sometimes. So it's very important to have a career map, because just like if you're going to drive to, you know, Sioux City, Iowa,
right,
and you've never been there, you don't know how to get to Sioux City, Iowa.
So you're going to map it out, figure it out.
You're going to figure it out. And our careers are the same, especially if you want to be able to pay your bills.
And you go back and forth, don't you, between Texas and Los Angeles?
I do go back and forth. I'm very Texan. I like my peace, my quiet, my calm. So a lot of times, if I don't have a project in LA, I'm in Texas. When my son was at Nickelodeon, we were there full time, but his most recent show, it was canceled. So I got to say, yay, I don't have to live in a 200 square foot apartment that costs more than my house in Texas. We go back and forth. I actually was thinking of getting another place out in San, but then riots and all that started, so I don't know right now.
Tell us a little bit about that, Michelle, because I know that something happened to your office in Los Angeles.
Yeah. So some of you may be shocked, appalled, and not like what I'm about to say, but I'm not going to even be political. I'm just going to be human about it. But don't hold it against Sparkle, because she's a great girl with a great show, okay? So, there's something about that area, because let's be honest, LA is not even typical California, right? LA is different, and I know that. It's a lot more volatile because there's a larger population of people who have no ties there, who have no affinity or anybody in that region. And so truthfully, that is a reality. That's a reason why crime and certain things take place there that don't take place in other parts of California or Texas or anywhere else. But I'll start with the election in 2016. That was interesting because I was working on Bright. This is the first time something happened to the office. I was working on a film, and they came on set, and they were like, you have to go. You got to get out of here now. Everybody get on the bus. We're going to bus you back to your cars. You can't walk. It's not safe. And they were talking 100 miles an hour like that. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. What? And they're like, it's not safe. It's not safe. You got to come. So I was already panicked a little bit because my son was off doing his thing, and I told him, meet me at the parking garage at this time. So I was a little nervous because I have no phone because I'm on set, and I'm like, oh my God, thank God he was there. So they buses, and there's all this rioting and protesting going on then because they did not like the results of the presidential election. And so what happened was, so let me just share. I often share with two ladies in their 70s. They sell milkshakes is what they do. Yeah, and so and I make it a point to say these women are in their 70s, okay?
Okay.
So it's just a picture, and they're little Jewish grandmas, like no joke, like, and they're the sweetest things. So the people didn't like the election, and they tore up the office then, and I would have fired. But we just let it go, and I didn't think any more about it until May 31st, like that weekend, all that stuff kicked off. Now listen, and being angry and all of that. But as I tell my kid, there's never an excuse to be what I call a cockroach, because just going crazy, just in a frenzy, tearing up anything. So there's several blocks, and frankly, we probably got the least amount of damage from things, but like the whole block, glasses broken out, things looted, including these women's blenders and mix for their ice cream and all that. People stole. What did that have to do with George Floyd? Just burned up and tore up everything. Fortunately for me, COVID is in effect, and I left California. I left California, in March. I haven't been there because the numbers are very high in LA, whereas we only have a few hundred where I live in Texas. So thank God I was there. Thank God the little ladies weren't there. But in that neighborhood, so aside from the fact that I think I've had enough, because now this is time number 2, I'm definitely, I don't think I'll be back there. And it's in North Hollywood. It's in a pretty decent area. It's not like or whatever. But it is I was told by the police, the thing is, it's by the bus station. So what happens is you get people from all over that commit these acts of vandalism, hop on the bus, and they leave before anybody can catch them. So I know I won't be back. And my little ladies that I offer share with, they're not coming back. They're just going to live off Social Security and retirement and be happy. They're not going to do that.
And the office is burning down, though, right?
Yeah, the whole, yes.
So
and not just ours.
Go back, can you?
No, and the other thing, so here's the other thing. So we had gotten a really great price on that because there was a gentleman that had gotten it in 1975. And so he gave it for the price that he got it for. It's just, a way to say, like, thank you for your service. Thank you, ladies, whatever. And the thing is, Yeah, does insurance pay out? Sure it does. But in 2020, you can't get real estate for that price. That's where it became an issue for us. You know, the pizza shop next door, they're terrified. They won't be back. So, and also, let me just put this in perspective. What angered me more, and again, somebody's going to be upset with what I say, but it's a fact. So you've got me, the black lady, who's there doing all that entertainment business stuff I told you, trying to help everybody.
Right.
You have an Indian family from India that ran the business next door, the pizza shop, and we burned them up. Then there was a beauty salon that had everybody in it. And then the next door down, there was an acting studio, dance studio that was run by black people. And then across the street, you had Bank of America. So what has now happened, we've all decided we're not coming back, including Bank of America. Bank of America will not rebuild there. They're going to rebuild, you know,
not there.
Not there. Because again, that's the second time that block has been hit in a couple years. So one thing that people, you know, because I get so disgusted, people say, well, insurance will cover it. First of all, the insurance becomes cost prohibitive after so many claims. And when you have 2 claims in less than a 5-year period for the same riotous behavior, literally, I'm telling you, the insurance burdensome. It's more than your monthly rent payment or your mortgage payment if you're renting or buying there. And for a lot of people, that's just not an option. You know, for the dance studio and the actor studio, again, run by black people, you know, they were just barely making it. They were just starting out. They could barely afford insurance and stuff. But I think it's really sad that people are acting like that and destroying the very communities that they say matter and need the help. So that is a huge soapbox, because the best way to do something, if you're angry, you need to go put pen over.
What was that? Say that again, Michelle. If you're angry, what's the best advice?
So, I tell my child, right? And you heard the word cockroach. I use, because if you ever want to torment me, just show me a cockroach. I can't stand cockroaches because they just, but that's how I feel about these folks. Listen, peaceful protests, go do that. I have no issue with that. But I'm talking about people that harm their innocent people for just no reason. When you're angry, in the country in which we live, you need to put pen to pen. Start contacting your elected officials and vote them out of office if you don't like how they're allowing things to go. If you don't like the way things are running in your city or your town, you need new leadership. And down 2 little old ladies that are selling milkshakes does not help change things in your neighborhood.
Right.
It changes them for the worse. Because, oh, by the way, all of us in that block, we all employed people. Everybody employed people. So they don't now. Literally don't have jobs. And so for me, like what I would do, I would hire people that, hey, I'm in Texas right now, so I need you to go be me at the office. Well, there's no office for them to go to. So there's no job. You know? But that's what they did to everybody in the block. And even Van Nuys, you know, Burbank, it's happening all around. It's not just there. But that's what people have forgotten how to be rational sometimes. So that's kind of a soapbox for me, that, you know, if you're really upset and if you don't know how to affect change in government, come see me. I will talk to you about it. I will mentor you to that as well. But, you know, us doing harm to each other, no, that's nonsense. We don't need to hurt each other. We need to lift each other up. You know, that's what helps our society.
I love this, Michelle, and I love everything. So where's the best place we can all follow you?
So KMP Entertainment, and really that stands for Kendall Murray Presents, because initially I started a business 10 years ago and I merged it under the umbrella of my son, because at the time my son was at Nickelodeon, had the bigger team and the bigger name. So Kendall Murray Presents. So KMP Entertainment. You can find us on social media. I'm very active on Facebook. You can find us. Also, our website is a great place because you can see all the services we offer. Maybe something strikes your fancy. Maybe you have a question, and you can email us on there. But definitely on Facebook, our Facebook page. And then there's a button on the Facebook page where people can join the Entertainment Business Council. And again, no charge. Just I got like all this information in my head. I want to give it away to people. So find me. Come.
Thank you so much. What about
mentor you.
Instagram? Are you on Instagram?
Yeah. Actually, no, I'm not, because we tried Instagram for a little bit, but I think my graphic is a little different. When we do shows and we're actually filming, that's when we hit up the Instagram a lot. But for the people that typically target us, we're very active on LinkedIn, and then that Facebook group. Yeah, LinkedIn, the group on Facebook.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I can't wait to see what you do next.
Likewise, and thank you for having me. Sorry for the crazy internet. I apologize, but thank you for having me.
Thank you, Michelle.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, welcome to the Sparkle Show. Bill, I'm so glad to finally have you on because you do a lot of stuff, and we had your friend on before who talked about the Titanic. Why don't you tell us about what you do?
Which many parts? One of the things that we're doing right now is we're doing Project Name Them All, which we can talk about at a later time. There are 42 unknown facts of victims that died, and there were no identification on people back in 1912. And these 42 unfortunate victims were buried under unknown excuse me. And we propose with modern DNA technology that we can take a small sample, get a viable, strong DNA from it, and using a technique called ancient DNA, use modern day relatives to identify all 42, from which we can get a viable DNA sample from. We have over 243 families who are supporting us, asking 3 cemeteries to allow us to do this project. We've got a television production company who wants to do a documentary series on this death and this project and these families. We've got Southampton, the city, endorsing our project. We've got a village in Ireland, in Lahar, the Attergill 14 home, supporting us. We've got so many different, and we cemeteries to say yes, and we're ready to go. That's one of the projects that we're involved in. The one that's the most exciting for me right now, and I was on the team in 1998 that went out to the wreck site, and we recovered the big piece. The big piece is on display at the Luxor. It's a 17-ton section of the hull was brought up specifically to be a center exhibit, and it surely is that indeed. People break down and just wail in tears that this is so emotional for them to see this large piece of the ship.
And this is all for the Titanic, correct?
Absolutely, all Titanic. So what I did a couple of years ago is I started writing a book, and it's called Our Story, the 20th anniversary of 98 Titanic. And I got several of the people that were involved with us. I solicited quite a few. And I said, tell me the stories that you remember. So I put their story with their name on it. I don't write it with my name. I put their parts with their name on it.
And it's like,
So they get
it's
to
coming from
contribute.
them, right?
Coming from them. Their names are in the book as well with their contributions, and it's a joint effort. I've done a lot of compiling, and a lot of it's from my perspective as well. But we did things. 4 different ships left 4 different ports. Excuse me, 3 different ports to arrive at the Titanic wreck site, and we were out there for 6 weeks. We did have a brief stop in St. John's to resupply and to come back to the wreck site. And then we were hit by Hurricane Bonnie and rode 80-foot waves for 17 hours.
Wow.
So if you've ever watched A Perfect Storm, I can't watch it. I lived it. I lived the waves where you go up.
And that was to
down.
recreate this stuff for your book, right?
Oh no, the Perfect Storm was a Hollywood movie.
No, I know that, but I'm saying right now with what you went through to recreate all this.
It was wonderful. It was a labor of love. It took a while. My wife was one of my main editors. I like to put hyphens when I write like I talk. Okay, I do a very bad job of doing that. I make long sentences. I use hyphens. And no, let's take this one and make it into something that's readable and good. And so she was turning my speech into a readable book. Great photo, tells the before story, tells the after story. People made different contributions that we've tacked on at the end. We even had a tribute section. We've lost several members of that expedition, and people wrote their memories for those members that have passed. And I love it. It's a great book. I'm very proud of it, and everybody that reads it has given high praise because it's one of those. It's continual. I'm sorry, I'm taking up all your time. Your turn.
No, we have a little bit of a scratchy problem, so I'm trying to hear you. That's why I'm leaning in. When is this coming out, and where can we purchase this?
Okay, the book came out about a year. It's available on Barnes and Noble. It's also available on the other famous place, Amazon. Excuse me.
And what's the name?
Our Story.
Our Story is the name of the book.
20th anniversary of the 1998 expedition. I don't think I can image, but I've got.
And then your project, Name Them All, is a separate project to go and find all of the members that were on the Titanic that were not documented.
Well, they were documented. These are people that were on the ship. We know the names of the passengers and the crew. We just don't know who those are. For example, about 7 of them are firemen. And we have a complete list of all the firemen that were on the ship. The fire people that put the coal into the boilers to create the fire. Okay. So we have a list of all of them. And what I have done, and a couple of other historians have double checked and helped me, is we look at all the historians, all the firemen, see which ones meet the description of the body. And we have our higher candidates, it may be. We have our not so likely candidates, and we just do that based on the descriptions. One of them, I'll tell you a great case. One of them had a false upper set of dentures. Okay? A lot of teeth were bad back in those days of the people because they couldn't afford to go to a dentist. One of the firemen was an outstanding rugby player. He was known for his skill on the rugby field. I know several rugby players right now that have played that have no front teeth because they've lost their teeth playing rugby. So we've moved this fella up the list. He may be one of the candidates to be that person because of rugby and the ability to get your teeth knocked out while playing rugby. So those are the contextual clues we try to find to help us categorize a list and to prioritize who these people might be for testing.
Wow.
Great labor of love, it really is.
That's amazing. So the book that came out a year ago that we can buy on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, how did you get from one project to the next? I know you're this historian. Tell us a little bit about your background, by the way, too.
I am a physics instructor at college.
Which one?
I also teach astronomy at a university, running the astronomy labs up there. So my background is in physics. I've also been a very researched historian. I started studying the Titanic in the mid-'70s, so I've got about 45 years of research. So many more that have more years than me that have been able to do so much more than I have. So by no means am I saying I'm anything special in the research world. But a lot of the people who do have extremely high qualifications joined in with the project Name Them All. They said, let us help. We would love to. It's a great project. Trying to figure some that may make a difference. One of the things I did on the 98 expedition is I designed and built a small ROV to go inside the ship. And George Tulloch and I had a year plan, 3 expeditions. First time we were going to make sure it worked. The second time we were going to go deep into the bow. That was going to be in 2000. And we were going to reconnoiter, look through different staterooms. We had a list of all the staterooms we wanted to go through and what is in each of those rooms. For example, there's one man had a tent that had $300,000 of stocks and bonds on his table. And when it came time to leave the ship, instead of grabbing that tin, he grabs several oranges and puts them in his coat. He climbs up on deck and they ask him, why did you grab the oranges instead of all your valuables? And he said, well, the oranges seemed more valuable to me at the time. That tin is still in his stateroom. Now, granted, the stocks and the commodities and things were replaced. But just think of the historical value it would mean to go over and to see that in a display case and to hear that story. This happens to be a famous Canadian. And when lifeboat number 6 was being lowered, Molly Brown looks up and yells to Officer Light, says, we need a sailor down here. Can you send us someone? So Lightoller turns around and he said, are any of you sailors? And this one stepped forward and he said, I can go. I'm a yachtsman. So we had to grab a rope and go 60 feet down this rope. Now this is a 50-year-old man. And he climbs down, he gets into the lifeboat, and as he's going, his wallet falls out of his coat. Splash. It disappears on the bottom of the ocean. His wallet was recovered in 1993. They found it laying in the debris field. So Arthur Pushin is the name of this Canadian. And it'd be awesome to put his valuable tin of commodities next to his wallet in a display case and tell this story.
That's amazing. So the Name Them All is really about every single artifact that's found belonging to a person.
No, Name Them All is about naming those 42 victims.
The 42 victims.
So that project is one. And this Our Story book is about what we did on the 1998 expedition 20 years ago.
And what you found. So then you were able to connect more dots during that expedition than had ever been done before.
Historians find something and continue on. During my research, history.com is a wonderful thing. I did confirm that I am related to a Titanic survivor. And just recently I found out that she does not have a headstone. And so we are going to put a headstone on her grave for her if the cemetery will allow us to. We've initiated discussion with that cemetery for us to put a headstone on her grave. She's an unmarked grave.
What are the odds of that, though, that you finding that out?
Very, very incredible. Going in my ancestry, this is really fun. I am related to Major Simon Mills, Massachusetts, in the 1600s. That name doesn't mean much. Major Simon Willard, I'm sorry, Simon Mills was someone else. Major Simon Willard, it's called being on the beach too long. Major Simon Willard, 2 sons. One was John Willard, the other was Simon, the 9 sons line, the son. John Willard was the last person executed in the Salem witch trials. So he's a distant cousin, and I've told people I'm so mad. If he really was a witch, I wish he would have given me some of his powers. There's a few people I want to zap right now. I would just, and zap them. So that part, of course, is a joke. But one's genealogy and ancestry is such an incredible journey. It takes you down roads that you don't know. I'm related to Jimmy Carter, I found out. I'm related to Thomas Jefferson and John Willard, and then the survivor of Titanic, Constance Willard. Oh, incredible in using the technology that we have at our fingertips. Such a beautiful gift that we have. So many people misuse it and spread so much garbage, but I love the beautiful information that's shared.
So when you were doing research for the book, not for the Operation Find Them All, is that when you experienced when you went through the perfect storm, your perfect storm, not the George Clooney movie, that perfect storm, is that when you went through that?
We went through the hurricane at the end of the 98 expedition. So we were at the Titanic wreck site. Hurricane Bonnie struck the coast of North Carolina, bounced off, and we were excited because it was going about 400 miles south of us. And that was at 10 o'clock in the middle in night. The next morning at 6 a.m., the crew was extremely busy battening down the hatches, to use a cliche. And the storm had turned. It had turned northeasterly right at us.
So that was pretty nerve-wracking, right?
It was extremely nerve-wracking. There were many people on that ship who had not been on the ocean very much.
Did you almost feel like you were on the Titanic?
Well, we had these little outfits. They were neoprene outfits. If you know what Gumby is, are you old enough to remember Gumby?
Yes.
You look like you're very, very young. Okay. Too many young people have no idea what Gumby was. Imagine an orange Gumby. We had to slide this neoprene suit on in under 2 minutes in order to go on the ship. It zips up to here. Our hat pulls up so that this is the only part that shows. Flashing light and so that if we fall overboard, we'll be able to shine and blink the flashing light, and we'll be able to blow the whistle so that people could find us. And they told us, do not leave that Gumby suit sitting around. You carry it with you just in case.
Wow.
And we were, 80 feet. It was probably about this steepness. And as soon as you get up the top, you take a side, and you would come the same angle. And we did that for 17 hours.
Wow.
A lot of people.
Bill, this is
A lot of people were very upset. I'll say this: if it came down to, would you like to ride in a ship through a hurricane again? I know what my answer will be immediately, and it will not be the affirmative.
Oh my. Okay, so back to the book. Where we can get it on Amazon, we can get it on Barnes and Nobles. And you don't have one at your disposal to show?
I have one. I have a picture on my desktop I called up. Will I be able to show it here?
I don't know where your desktop is.
Can you see that at all?
No.
I don't have one with me.
We'll
I'll close that out.
send us a picture of it. So, and then we'll put it up. But so right now, everything that you're doing, are you working on the next book?
Haven't started. Well, I have started a third book. One of the that I love to research. This is one of my favorite, and it's in the town of Lahardone in Ireland.
Oh.
I get to talk with my Irish accent now. And Lahardone is this small little village in County Mayo, and a lot of my ancestors. So this story has a little personal meaning to it. There were 14 of the people of Lahardone that decided to America to start a new life, and of the 14, 3 survived, 11 did not. There was a rule in Ireland that if you had a large family, imagine a husband and wife would have 6 or so, you had land, and the more children you had, the more you do on your property. Okay. but you could only leave it to one.
That'd be a decision to make.
Left it to the board. All the other males are out of luck. Ladies, they hoped to marry a firstborn, or they were out of luck, because they'd have to find
Well, Bill,
and try to go work in the larger city.
So we're gonna follow you on Facebook. You have a Facebook page as well as your profile, right?
Do I have what kind of page?
A Facebook page that we can update all of your information, and a website.
I have a Facebook group called Project Name Them All, where you can find that. Right now we have my other group is called Titanic Conference 2020.
Nice.
A Titanic Conference in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. The purpose for us doing this in Tennessee is I'm only a couple of hours away, and I'm able to get there very quickly, and I know a lot of people in that area. We have a great venue. People come in from Washington State, Massachusetts, Texas, all over. We have North Dakota, a lady that comes from North Dakota every year. Titanic Conference 2020, we're going to change it to 2021. After all.
Well, we're going to keep track on everything you're doing, Bill. Thank you so much for coming on my show. And I'm sorry there's a little delay from hearing you. Let's see.
Not a problem. I'm sorry I took up all your time to talk.
No, it was great. Thank you so much, Bill.
It's been so long since I tried to love. It's been so long since I tried.